Today's webinar will be focused on comparing our payroll solution to QuickBooks. If that's not where you expected to be, that's okay. You are welcome to stay, or you can follow the link to register to the other sessions we're conducting later today. In a moment, we'll introduce the speakers and review today's agenda. But before we dive in, a few quick housekeeping items. First, this session will last approximately 30 minutes. We encourage you to submit questions in the chat. We will have team members who are both answering some of the questions in the chat, and we'll be tagging others to be answered live later in the session. So go ahead and jump in chat right now and tell us where you're joining us from. This is our most popular webinar today, so we're looking forward to learning about you. If you experience any technical issues, try refreshing your screen or reconnecting to the webinar. And this session is being recorded, and we'll share the recording by tomorrow, and we'll send it via email that you registered for this session. Now, let's meet our speakers. First of all, I'm Jeff Hughes. I'm Director of Customer Success here at OnTheClock, and my team is responsible for making sure that you maximize your usage and subscription for time tracking, and now helping customers through enrollment and running payroll. Next up is Dylan Munn.
Awesome. Good to meet everybody. My name is Dylan Munn. I'm actually with Check, which is the back-end engine for OnTheClock Payroll. We do a lot of the tax filing and tax calculations. But I have been selling payroll for about 7.5 years. I have moved hundreds of employers off of QuickBooks and all the different QuickBooks components onto better and brighter futures. So I will hand the ball over to Steve.
Thanks, Dylan. Hi, everybody. My name is Steve. I am the product manager here at OnTheClock. My team is responsible for building not only our time tracking solution, but also our new payroll products. And I'm glad to be here with you all. Handing it over to Gary.
Thanks, Steve. Hi, I'm Gary. I am the head of business development and payroll account executive here at OnTheClock. And what I do is help make sure that OnTheClock Payroll is a good fit for you and that it's able to solve the issues you're having and it works smoothly for you.
All right, great. Now that we've met the team, today's webinar, we're going to be going over the common payroll challenges that all small businesses face. Next, we'll specifically talk about how OnTheClock compares to QuickBooks and how we built our payroll solution to compete. Gary will do a quick demo to show you how easy it is to run payroll right from your OnTheClock account. Plus, we'll take a look at how your employees' experience will improve. And last, we will make sure that we answer any questions that you might have. I encourage you, please stick around to the end. We do have a great offer we'd like to share with you in appreciation for you joining us today. Now, I'm going to turn it over to Dylan.
Awesome. Well, so a lot of the questions that we get from our customers at OnTheClock is around, why did you build the OnTheClock payroll system? And there's about 5 reasons why we built the OnTheClock payroll, given the feedback that we're receiving from our customer base. Often we'll be talking to them, helping them sign up for OnTheClock, or just helping resolve any sort of new timekeeping compliance questions that are coming up. And they would talk about how their payroll company currently has just tons of hidden fees. What they love about OnTheClock is it's very straightforward pricing, and they're not quite sure what their current payroll system covers, what bucket are they in, what tier pricing are they in. It's all very confusing, which kind of goes on with the pricing model as well. I'm not quite sure what I'm paying for here. I have there's a price on the website with QuickBooks, but which one am I in? My pricing seems to kind of fluctuate depending on what I'm doing with it. And also, it seems like there's not a payroll and timekeeping employee management solution. It's a lot of different systems kind of pieced together. And then also the delays. And we'll talk about this more in a bit, but this is kind of across most legacy payroll companies. One of the biggest values that we love to bring into our OnTheClock customers is our strong customer support model. And unfortunately, across a lot of different payroll companies, there just seems to be a lot of drop off in the quality and the effectiveness of their customer support and around compliance. If you don't know what you're paying for, are you sure that you're paying for whatever package is really covering you and your business? So that's kind of why, the reasons why we built OnTheClock Payroll is to help solve all those issues. And to address them specifically around QuickBooks is there's just a lot, it's built to be more of an accounting platform than an actual payroll platform. And so when it comes to the flexibility needed to pay your employees fast and effectively, the amount of quickness that they can do your direct deposit is just limited by the infrastructure in which they built their platform. The biggest piece here, so this affects about 14 states specifically, is that the lowest tier plans and I believe the middle tier plan with QuickBooks can do the local payroll tax calculations, but they are not doing the filings on your behalf. This is one of the biggest things on why people come over to QuickBooks, or excuse me, to OnTheClock Payroll, is federal, state, locals, municipalities. If you're in Ohio, there's RETA taxes. There's a lot of little payroll taxes that are just not covered or they're not filed by QuickBooks. And so a lot of the employers we have brought on have said, I thought no payroll company did that. It's just part of QuickBooks' program, but we do that at OnTheClock. I've been in this industry long enough where I remember QuickBooks timekeeping was T-sheets. If everyone remembers T-sheets back in the day, they essentially just took that very old software and rebranded it into their own timekeeping system, but it's still a completely different module, and so it's just not a real seamless experience. Additionally, kind of ironically enough, QuickBooks out of the box reporting is pretty good. But that's not going to form fit your business specifically. And so there's a real limitation on the amount and the ease in which you can build a custom report. And so the kind of question is, do you go bug your accountants, your bookkeeper to build you that custom report? They're now billing you for those hours. It's just not a great user experience. And of course, I'm sure if anyone knows, only live active customer support is only supported with QuickBooks' top tier payroll plan, which I think was around $250 per month, plus about $12 per employee per month, per active employee. And we'll get into that a bit later of how much cost savings we'll provide there. But even then, it's just not to the level of customer support that a lot of our customers at OnTheClock have expressed that they see with OnTheClock as opposed to QuickBooks. So I'll hand it over to Steve to talk about how OnTheClock Payroll is going to specifically address a lot of those issues we have with QuickBooks.
Excellent. Thank you, Dylan. As you pointed out, there's a lot of complexity to these other systems. And one thing that OnTheClock has always prided itself in is being nice and simple and easy to use. And we wanted to carry that forward with our payroll offering. So we take those easy tracked hours, the easy to read time cards, and we carry those right over into our payroll solution. So there's no need to port anything over manually. Those hours are tracked by your employees. The system grabs them and feeds them into payroll. Additionally, we wanted to make the enrollment nice and easy. We didn't want you to have to worry about working with multiple parties to get your stuff onboarded and get you transitioned over to OnTheClock. So we focused on a self-guided enrollment. You just you go into OnTheClock, you click on that payroll offering up at the top header, and then you can view the eligibility requirements. If you meet them, you just go ahead and enroll yourself. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Gary will show us some stuff, but it's very simple. It takes less than 10 minutes, and we're just trying to keep the hassle out of running payroll. Same thing, flowing right into your employee self-onboarding. We don't want you to track down employees. We don't want you to have to track down and manage sensitive information from those employees. So we let the employees onboard themselves. We built a fully integrated self-onboarding experience. So when your employees log in, once you are fully enrolled, they get a prompt to, hey, your employer is now using OnTheClock Payroll. Please enroll yourself, where they'll add their personal details such as social security numbers, their deductions, their bank accounts where they want their deposit sent to, etc. Automated tax compliance processing. So we wanted to, continue to handle that. We wanted it to be nice and easy so you didn't have to worry about individual tax calculations for federal, state, or local regulations. So we do all of that on your behalf as well as the payments. Like I said before, when it comes to the time card review and approval, those time cards, if you're an OnTheClock customer today, you know how easy they are to review. That is just carries right over into our payroll. So you're still going to review your employees' time on those those time cards. You're going to make adjustments right on our UI. Once you've made those adjustments, you can press those over and send them right to payroll, and it'll process payroll based on the time cards. Building off of that, so once you've run your payroll, you need to report on that, and you need to have access to your reports. So we created a user interface inside the admin portal where you can see what are your payroll reports. You can see things such as your tax deductions, detailed breakdowns of wages, any accounting and tax compliance needed for payrolls is all available in a payroll summary and payroll journal. So like I said, the idea here was to keep payroll simple, just like our time tracking solution. Kicking it back over to you, Dylan.
Awesome. So, well, this is kind of what we love to have as the main takeaway from this presentation is, again, the biggest piece is that your timekeeping and your payroll is all going to be in one house. And so what we'll see here in a bit with Gary on the demo is how quick that process is going to be. So it's not only in just the processing of payroll, but it's also in having the amount of time that you're spent exporting, importing, and managing your ongoing admin with your payroll, as well as your employees are going to have their time, their schedule, their pay stubs, their tax forms, everything under one house. So they're not going to be bugging you for a lot of this information back and forth. But additionally, there is some more upside as well. If you're looking to grow your business, we already support multi-states. That is an extra charge for QuickBooks. But again, even if you expand to a state that does local taxes, they're not going to be filing those locals for you. Our custom reporting is much more dynamic and can fit whatever is more important to your business. The biggest piece is more transparent pricing. And so you'll know that with OnTheClock Payroll, you're essentially getting their enterprise package at a super discounted rate that can do all of the compliance work for you, all the customer support for you at a much better rate, a much simpler way as well. So I'll pass it over to Gary to go over the demo, and we'll showcase exactly how fast it is to process a payroll.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, so OnTheClock Payroll has been created with simplicity in mind. Everything that we've built within the system is made to be easy to use, and we focus that with payroll. So this is on the clock as you're used to it, and payroll is just a few clicks. So once you log into the system and you're ready to run payroll, all you need to do is go directly to your time cards. And you'll see we now have this blue Run Payroll button here in the system. You're going to still be able to edit your time cards and make sure that everything is accurate and it's the way it's supposed to be. And if you need to make any adjustments, you can do that. Same as always, just click on the day and make those adjustments. Once your hours are all set and all your fields are filled out, you'll just click on Run Payroll. And it's going to take you to this payroll summary screen where it's going to show you a breakdown of your payroll. So you'll see everyone's wages, their earnings, deductions, withholdings, everything will be broken out for you. Now, if you do need to make any adjustments to this, you can absolutely do that by clicking on Edit Payroll, and it'll actually take you into a screen where you can break out individual employees to make adjustments as necessary. But if everything looks good and once it's all set, you just click on Submit Payroll, and that's all there is to it. Super easy. It'll give you the success message, and you'll see this green banner in the back change from payroll draft to payroll submitted, and you're done. There's nothing else to it. Your payroll is all set. Now, from an employee perspective, we also wanted to focus on keeping this easy for them to understand and be able to access and adjust anything. So from an employee perspective, they would log into OnTheClock, same as always, just as if they were going to punch in or do a time off request, and they'll have a payroll icon up at the top. All they got to do is click there, and all of their pay stubs will be listed here for them. They can download them, view them, print them out, whatever they need. So they have access to all of them. They also have access to all of their tax documents. So W-2s, everything will be in here. If they ever need to make adjustments to, say, their direct deposit, they changed banks, or maybe they need to change their withholdings, that is all under pay settings. They can go in and adjust everything from there. And that's all there is to it. It's really that simple. There's nothing else they have to do.
Awesome. So yeah, as you can see, I was really off the screen for like 2 seconds. So that's how fast processing your payroll is going to be going forward. But it's always easy to say this stuff. Obviously I'm a sales guy. So, but we love to have a little bit of testimonial and proof in the pudding. So this is one of our customers, Megan, who gave us a testimonial about not only how much time she was able to save, so was able to reduce the amount of hours she was spending processing payroll per year down to a handful of minutes. But additionally, she was able to save about $1,200 per year. That's $1,200 that her company can use for anything else besides fees that go to processing payroll. But additionally, this is another piece that we didn't quite hit on, is when you are exporting out of OnTheClock and into maybe an Excel sheet to adjust, to be able to upload back into QuickBooks, there is just an edge of human error there. And again, I'm sure most of our staff have very well structured systems. They've been doing this for a long time, so there's very few errors that can happen, but it does just open up that door for errors to happen. And then unfortunately, especially with QuickBooks, say you do have a tax return that you found out wasn't accurate. Now you're having to do amendments. You have to refile those taxes, all because of a small human error that had been made in the Excel sheet that you're tracking. So we eliminate the human error. We save a ton of money. We save a ton of time moving to OnTheClock Payroll. So to kind of wrap everything all up before we go to the questions, and we're seeing some really great questions already. But again, at the end of the day, we give you the customer support level that only the top tier plan with QuickBooks Online gets. That gets included in your payroll cost. Faster processing speed, as you saw with Gary, that was a minute or two. No extra fees. You're going to get the top tier QuickBooks plan at a much discounted rate when it comes to both support and the features. And again, the biggest piece here, everything's under one house. And so your employees' information is in one house, your admin systems all under one house. It just makes everything a lot more clean and simple.
All right, thanks, Dylan. Now, before we get to your questions, and Dylan mentioned there's quite a few good ones in chat already, keep them coming. We have plenty of time to answer your questions about OnTheClock Payroll, but we also wanted to thank you for attending today and let you know that we have a special enrollment offer. So if you enroll in OnTheClock Payroll by the end of March and run your first payroll with us in April, we'll waive the enrollment fee, which is the fee that covers migrating your payroll data from your current solution, so from QuickBooks, and setting up your payroll account. And then we'll give you 3 free months of time tracking. So that is our offer to get you into our system. And if you did not register for this webinar with the email that you have on your account, please reach out to Gary at ontheclock.com and we'll make sure that your discount is applied. So panelists, if you could jump back on stage, we're going to get into the Q&A. And while we're addressing questions, I would like to get the audience's feedback about how you're thinking about OnTheClock Payroll compared to QuickBooks as we start to answer questions. So without further ado, Dylan, I'm going to come to you. So one of the questions was about what does the implementation process look like, the switching from QuickBooks? And could you also, after that, address how we integrate with the accounting portion of QuickBooks?
Yeah, of course. So full transparency, QuickBooks is the platform that we bring the majority of our customer base over from. And so we make it very quick and easy. The primary way that we do it is we get access to your current QuickBooks payroll information. So that, probably your CPA or maybe even a bookkeeper has the same level of access. We then pull all the tax documents, all the payroll reports over for you. So that takes anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes. And then we upload everything for you. And then on the next call is we're helping you walk through your first payroll run. And so that's good. Again, as you saw, that might take 5, maybe 10 minutes. So the total investment it takes from you on moving over to OnTheClock Payroll from QuickBooks is about 20 to 30 minutes total time. So that 30 minutes can save you those thousands of dollars, tons of hours per year. But QuickBooks Online accounting integration, very easy. During the implementation process, we're getting everything set up with you. Part of that first call then is we have an embedded integration with QuickBooks Online accounting. So what that means is in our implementation steps, we have a link your QuickBooks accounting process step. And so from there, you click link. It asks you to sign into your QuickBooks account in our system. And then it pulls your chart of accounts. And then you'll start dictating on, I want my wages and salaries to go in this bucket, my taxes to go in this bucket, my health insurance deductions in this bucket. And so we help break down all of those, mapping your payroll information to your chart of accounts. And so every time you run a payroll, all that data automatically gets updated into your QuickBooks account automatically for you. As a quick note, we do not integrate with QuickBooks Desktop. So that is kind of a quick call out. But for the QuickBooks Online, we are able to map to your current chart of accounts.
All right. Thank you, Dylan. Gary, I'm going to come to you. So first, I'm going to throw the question Jackie asked at the very beginning. She's a small church daycare, uses on-the-clock time tracking, qualify for using our payroll. So could you address that and also just generally speak to the cost of on-the-clock payroll for our customers?
Yeah, so when it comes to like customer size or anything like that, we don't have any limits. So whether you have 1 employee or 50 employees, we can work with you. It just depends on if it's going to be the right fit for you. And that's ultimately one of the things that I explore with our customers. As far as pricing, pricing is very simple and straightforward. So it is a monthly fee. It's not based on the amount of payrolls you run. You can run unlimited payrolls. It is $40 base fee per month and then $6 per employee. Now with that, if you have like weekly payroll and you run payroll 4 times in a month, it's not going to change the price. The only thing that alters that price is how many employees you have in the system getting paid. So whether you're running off-cycle bonuses plus your 4 payrolls or whatever the case is, it's still going to be the same price no matter what. There's no additional fees or anything else that would be tacked into there. And typically the only other fee you'd see would be the $250 implementation and migration fee for us to move everything over from the other systems. But with the offer here today, you wouldn't have that either.
All right. Thank you, Gary. Steve, I'm going to come to you. So there's a number of questions I'm going to bundle together. So folks are asking about salaried workers. They're asking about 1099 or contractors. And then there's a couple questions about like paying bonuses or refund or reimbursing employees. Could you generally talk about those questions?
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Appreciate that. I was watching those come in. So for auditing purposes, we have to have payroll entries for all your employees, whether they're salary or hourly. So we do require that your hourly and salary employees both be employees of OnTheClock system and that they do have values on the timesheets. So those values can transfer over into our payroll product. Additionally, contractors, we don't currently support contractors today. It is on our roadmap for the second half of 2025 to be able to support contractors in its full entirety from on-the-clock time tracking right on through to our payroll system. And then, I'm sorry, Jeff, what was the last part about that?
I guess it was different pay rates for employees. And then I'm seeing there's a question, so different pays and jobs. And then I'm trying to find the other question, but if you could address that one.
Yeah.
Different
So
rates.
for pay rates, we support the pay rates that we have today in the system. If there's different pay rates per job, we don't currently support that. However, if your employee has a different pay rate, such as regular rate, overtime 2 rate, etc., we do support that. Also, we do give you the ability to modify an employee's paycheck. So once you've run payroll on the time card and you're like, oh, you know what, this employee has a bonus that I wasn't able to enter on the time card, or maybe it's a reimbursement for something other than mileage. Maybe they bought some educational expenses that you want to reimburse them for. You can do that before you submit to payroll. So it's completely customizable for what you can reimburse an employee for, or you can pay a bonus on, etc.
All right, thanks, Steve. I'm going to take one because Jeff asked it, and he's got a great first name. Jeff asked about tracking paid time off, and absolutely. So we have paid time off tracking in time tracking today, and those hours when your employees use that time will transfer over to the time card and then over to payroll when you're processing payroll. Dylan, I'm going to come to you next. So one of the questions was about what the approval looks like, the time frame, and how late in the period someone can approve payroll and their employees get paid. And then I also wondered if you could speak to, generally, there's been a couple questions about where employees are supported, Puerto Rico, Canada. We've got a couple folks from Canada. So could you talk to those two questions, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So our standard payroll processing period is 2 days. And so what that means is by 5 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesday is when you need to be able to process your payroll for Friday checks. And those Friday checks will hit, I believe it's like 5 a.m. Eastern. And so that's the timeline there. And we do have next day pay coming out pretty soon. So that would be, I believe, also 5 p.m. on Thursday. You'll be able to get for those Friday checks. For where we do serve, currently we are not serving Canada. Canada is on our roadmap for this year to support, as well as Puerto Rico. And so really it's just the 50 states, U.S. states that we support right now for payroll.
All right, great. I'm going to keep you on the hot seat. So somebody mentioned it is a difficult process to edit a pay after it's been submitted with QuickBooks. Could you talk about what that looks like with us? And then there's a second part. I'm going to real quickly grab that question.
Yeah, well, and so in my years within the payroll industry, the edit pay is really, a manager may not have approved a time clock accurately, or employees have last minute edits. One of the values of moving to on-the-clock payroll and having everything on one system is you're able to adjust those changes prior to even processing payroll. So the main goal is that we're actually, going to be having such a smooth system that we're not going to have to do edits. But again, life happens, managers, employees happen. And so you are able to, once you do process that payroll, our main request is that you let our support team know, hey, we processed this payroll on Wednesday morning, and it's Thursday afternoon, and we need to adjust this one pay. Send us that support ticket, and we'll be able to adjust it accordingly, and be able to make sure that Friday check is adjusted as well. But again, we've all been there. The employee gets their pay stub. They said, oh my gosh, I forgot to clock in this one day on the right time. You can always do, again, because it is the number of Social Security is paid per payroll or per month, and as opposed to how many checks were issued, you can always just run an off-cycle payroll. And so say that employee, forgot to clock in for a full shift, let's just say. You can just run an individual payroll for that one employee for that missed payroll run. So we have a lot of ways to be able to adjust how you're paying your employees, how you're editing your payroll, both after you process, before you've processed, and after the deposits have hit as well. So we're trying to be as customizable and flexible for our employers as possible. And you said, Jeff, there was another follow-up question to that, or?
I think it was about how do the deductions work and paying taxes on behalf of our customers.
So we can do pre-tax deductions, post-tax deductions. So that's cafeteria 125 plans for healthcare. That's 401k for pre-tax, post-tax. IRAs, garnishments. If you do any sort of fringe benefit as well. So you love to give your employees an extra $50 per month for a gym membership. We can include that in their post-tax pay as well as a fringe benefit. And so we can really customize the pre-tax, post-tax compensation structure that you're looking for, as well as no tax reimbursements. So say I bought a computer and my company owes me $500 for that. We can do that post-tax reimbursement through payroll as well. For the tax information, we do all the federals, state unemployment, income, your Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid tax, or your FICA taxes. We do all the state incomes as well. Additionally, all the locals. So there's thousands of local taxes. We do the vast majority of them. And that's, again, all included in that $40 per month, and that's $6 per employee. And additionally, for the year end, so some of you may have had some W-2 processing fees that have come up recently. Those are included in your cost. So those are $0 with OnTheClock is the W-2 process.
All right. Thank you, Dylan. We have reached the bottom of the hour here. There is a link here. If you have more questions that are specific to your situation, I encourage you to schedule time with one of our experts here, demo, answer questions that you may still have, reach out to our support team. We will be sending out this recording as well as answering some of the questions that we didn't have time to get to. I want to thank you for your time today. Again, we look forward to you using us for payroll in 2025. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks, team.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.